Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. You've tuned in to ALH Broadcasting, and this is Andrea L. Hines, your host for When Life Speaks. I'm glad you accepted the invitation to connect with us as we share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it's a blessing to your life, it just may be for someone else as well. So tag, share, invite someone, then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you speak life. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to When Life Speaks. I am your host, Andrea L. Hines, and I am so glad that you came in tonight. Hope you're in from the cold. Hope you are in from the inclement weather and all kinds of craziness that has been going on. But I am glad that you are here. I'm glad that I have a great guest tonight to talk with and to have her share with you. And it's just going to be a wonderful evening. You know, we've been doing some different things, and I started a series, and it's called Let Me Introduce You. If those of you who are familiar with the WLS newsletter, the When Life Speaks newsletter, know that when I was originally doing it, I'd always have a paragraph in that newsletter that says, let me introduce you to. And I would bring in different people, and they had different skill sets, and they had different testimonies and stories of triumph. And they were just people that I wanted you to know, people who were doing different things, people who were excited about life, people who had changed, made some changes that they needed to make, and made some different choices than they thought that they would make. But it was always, you know, we are all over there, just hidden gems. I like to talk about hidden gems. There are people who are doing, ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things, and nobody gets to know about it. Nobody gets to hear about it. So one of the things that I wanted to do as we closed out the 2025 and started 2026, I said, well, you know what? Everybody who is a part of the ALHB family and all the hosts who have their programs are so into what they are doing and what they are presenting and how they can help the community, help individuals, help to bring you information that will encourage you. I said, but a lot of times people don't really know who they are. They don't know the host. They don't know the story behind the story. So I wanted to take this opportunity right here at the beginning of the year and the end of last year to introduce you to the host of some of our programs so that you will get to know them a little bit better. Hey there, Victoria. Victoria Henderson is in the house, and she is a host of Living Life Victoriously and also a part of the Authors Up team. So I'm glad that she is in the house today because, you know, we always say that everybody has a story. It just depends on whether or not they want to tell it. So like I said, there's always a story behind the story. There's a story behind the programs that you see every week. There is a story behind the work that is done in ministry for many of the people. There is just a story behind the life that you see lived out before you day by day, week by week, and month by month. So tonight I have the pleasure of introducing you to the host of The Power of Transformation. She is going to be sharing with us tonight, and I'm getting ready to bring her on right now. She is Dr. Paula Obie. Good evening, Dr. Obie.
Good evening, Dr. Hines. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm happy. I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm excited. Very
Good,
excited.
good, good, good. I am as well. We were talking before the program started just about how easy it is for us to chat with one another and just talk about whatever happens to be on our mind. And it's always something that will help somebody else or encourage somebody else. And we're glad. I know that I am grateful. Paula was talking about gratitude tonight, about, just being selected, and there's sometimes, man, you gotta know and understand that God did this.
Yes.
He chose you, he put you in place, he put you where you needed to be, and he's gonna orchestrate everything that you need to do. So Paula, I'm glad, Dr. Paula, to have you on. We had talked several months back. Did a series on about the power of the testimony, and
Mhm.
at that time, you were not able to fully participate the way that you wanted to. And I said, well, you come back on, and we'll allow you that space and allow you that time to share. So
Mhm.
this is that time. So you can go ahead with that. But as we start out, I just want to say you talk about how this all came to be, because people may not know that. And Dr. Paula won a contest. If you can believe that, you won a contest. Tell them about it. You tell them
Well,
about
I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'm going to go back and talk about how we got there. I won a book writing contest. And I mean, I won a book writing contest, but the reason that I was even introduced to the setting was because of an assignment that I took my latest job. And the young lady, Victoria Henderson, is really the reason why all of this came about, because God used her to help in the environment in which I was working. The environment was a little crazy, and Victoria's love and light just was just shining deeply. So I got attached to her, connected with her. The next thing you know, we're talking about authors up. The next thing she's telling me about the writing, and I'm like contest, and I'm like, really? And I sent her a copy of a chapter that was written years ago. And she said something, and it was before she told me about the contest. She said, I want to know about, and she called the name, and I said, I'm on to something. I knew she was an author. I just wanted to get her feedback. Those are God moments.
it. Oh, yes.
Those are God winks. And so when she told me about the contest, and she told me about it on Friday, and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, the it has to be in by Sunday." So I stayed up. I probably slept 2 hours the entire weekend,
Hmm.
got it in by Sunday. And so that's it. I thought about it, didn't think about it anymore. I didn't even know the terminology. All I knew was I had something to write, and I had to finish writing it, and I had to get it all in by a certain time, and then I went to bed.
And get it in, she did, and we loved it. And it was a new process for us. It was definitely a new process for Dr. Paula in bringing her words to life, and bringing her book to life, and telling the story. You got the cover there. You got
I
the book.
do. I do. I believe in. They really should be. I believe in miracles. This is what it should say. The title of it is Adria's Transformation. And can you
Love
see? Can you see those little lovebirds?
it. You bring it down a little bit. There you go.
How
There you
about
go.
that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are my little lovebirds, and it's Christian fiction.
Hey.
The Saints had a hard time with that. Boy, if I ever had to explain that one, they'd say, "Well, what's Christian fiction?" I said, "They're Christians, and they're in love." You and read it. You know. And so when someone said to me, you know what, I could see you in the book. I said I would have had to have lived 20 lives to be, to, to be to be that person. But I know people who are like that, and we just brought it to life. And I'm telling you, it's been a bless. I'm kind of in awe. I mean, at first when Victoria called me and she's like, "What are you doing?" All right, this is what's going to happen. You've got to be ready. And it was just the camaraderie, and you guys were the best writing coaches. I didn't know what writing coaches were. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I have learned to follow instructions.
And I tell you, it was a joy working with you because when and those of you who have ever been on Authors Up or who are writers yourselves, it's a personal journey. Even when you're writing fiction, it is still a personal journey. It's difficult to let go of sometimes, and it is difficult to be critiqued. It's not always taken well. It's not always something that you will grab hold of and just kind of plot the course of how you're going to take this information and use it effectively. And that was never an issue. Dr. Paula was always at a place where she wanted to learn and she wanted to know. And as a result, she produced an absolutely amazing book. And we're glad that we had a part of doing that and a part of bringing that to life. But that's only part of your story.
Part of my story.
This,
It's a
this
great part of
wow.
it, though.
This,
It's really a great part to be around, such fabulous authors. I thought, oh my God, what a wonderful opportunity for me. So, no, I wasn't going to mess that up being hard headed and not listen. Absolutely not.
but we have Dr. Paula who works in ministry, and we have Dr. Paula the author. We have Dr. Paula the caregiver. We have Dr. Paula who has on a lot of hats and does a lot of things, and I don't know where to draw from actually in telling your story. But there's some things in particular that I know that you want to share. And I want to ask you. We were talking about, there was a question that I had for you, something that I wanted to ask you, and one of the things that I wanted to know was, a lot of times when we're talking to people, they are living the dream. They are the kind of people who, at 5 years old, I knew I wanted to run a bakery. Now, that's not me. At 10 years old, I knew I wanted to be an airline pilot. That's not me either. I can't even remember 5 and 10, so I don't have a clue what I was thinking about. But Paula, if somebody had asked you to finish the sentence when you were a little girl, the pre-doctor Paula Obie, and said to you, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" What would your answer have been?
It's really amazing. I had a lot of trauma in my life, early death. My mom left, my younger brother left me when he was 7. And then my mom decided to leave before I was 11. So I was kind of traumatized for the first part of my life. And what I wanted to be when I was growing up it didn't matter. What I became when my mother left was the caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started thinking about my younger brothers. They were so cute, and 3 older and 3 younger. And they were so cute. And all of a sudden, my mind is no longer on who I needed to be, but it was how I needed to be there for them. And that just pretty much changed the trajectory of my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always loved to read. And I've always loved the PBS stations. And I loved, so I knew in my heart, I said, I think I want to be a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I was the one with the dolls, and I was always trying to teach something and tell somebody something. So I really felt like I wanted to be a teacher of something, but not really. I didn't know what to do. I really did not know what to do. I had no direction. And it's amazing that we're talking about this because today I was thinking about how I did not get the guidance I needed
Mm-hmm.
when I when I started enrolling in schools and I got accepted in schools. I was led to believe that being a teacher was not a good thing. You
Whoa.
know, yeah, it wasn't a good thing. So that I would, should you choose another profession? So, I figured, I wasn't trying to be misled. I did have a lot of faith in the person. So I chose nursing. Now, it was
Yeah.
not my calling.
Yeah.
And what I really felt in my heart was that let me tell you, I wasn't used to flunking out of school. Let me just get real.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who graduated high in her class was now a college dropout. So I'm lost.
Mm. Yeah.
I went back and confronted the person who gave me the advice, and I realized they didn't understand me well enough to know what to say. Their vision was they wanted me to, become a nurse because nurses were well paid, they had a great profession, yada yada yada. So today, when I was thinking about, the fact that I did not get into nursing school, I lost my scholarships.
Mm.
So when it was time for me to go back to school, I had no funding.
Gotcha.
I made myself a promise that one day I would go back. It took forever, but I did. But I never stopped teaching and I
Mm.
never stopped learning.
Mm-hmm.
Vision is really important, Dr. Hines. Being a teacher would have been maybe the first step. The person who was giving me advice should have said, "Oh, maybe you could become an AP. Oh, wait a minute, maybe you become a principal. Oh, maybe you could teach at a college." But I didn't have that vision, so I didn't get the encouragement to really, major in education.
Well, and at a time there were not. I don't think that we were necessarily encouraged to dream. And along with that, there were only a few things that we were encouraged to do.
Right.
Teaching was one, being a secretary or an admin assistant was one.
Mhm.
Um, and what was the other one? It was teaching, being an admin assistant, and nursing. Nursing was the other one.
Yeah.
Like you, it was not my calling. I wasn't. I I took on a responsibility as a candy striper, and I didn't make it a week.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I would go in and I would think these people are really sick, and and I don't know
Right.
what to say. I don't
Right.
know how to help them. I don't know how to do any of that. So my journey was similar. I didn't have that clear cut. This is what I'm going to do, and I know it, and I'm going to stick at it. Stick with it and hang in there and do that. But you've come full circle because as you were talking about being a caregiver then with your brothers and all of that, you're a caregiver now for your dad.
Yes, it's amazing. It is. Isn't it amazing how God works? It's
Yeah.
but there's several different skill sets that are needed for the caregiving piece. Remember, I said I started that after my mom died. That means just taking care of someone. I didn't
Mhm.
have to go through all those science classes. I just had to learn the process, how to effectively take care of another human being and help them to grow. And
Mhm.
that started when I was 11.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
So, I mean, I feel like I had a PhD in that.
Mhm.
So I've had many years in that. So the love that I would have had for the patients is no different for, the love that I have for my father. I'm still teaching though,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
that's my passion. So I just love the way God works and says, that was a good dream, but it wasn't yours. However, this is yours. And now you can combine those talents. It took forever for me to figure out what to do, you
Mhm.
know, and I started, when I started training, I was jealous of all the folks who had their degrees on the wall. They had these degrees, and I admit I was jealous. You don't have to admit you're jealous, but I am. And the reason that I was jealous is because they say, "Well, Paula, where did you graduate? Where are your degrees?" And they knew that was a really, really touchy place for me. It did not stop me from excelling, but it really shattered my self esteem.
Mhm.
That was a sore spot. I felt like I didn't belong there, but God was still pushing me. I had the personality and the drive, but oh, Paula, from what school? We got that question all the time. So it really took a while for me to heal, and it did not heal until I went back to school. Really.
Wow. Wow. Now let's go back a little bit and rewind here, because there was something that you wanted to share, and I don't know. It may have had to do with being a caregiver and the situation that you're in now, because you did take early retirement in order to do that and in order to work with your dad. But what is what is something about the Dr. Paula that we see, that we hear, that is so eloquent on the radio and the broadcast and all the things that you do? But what is there something about you that people don't know that they would be surprised at if they knew?
Other than wanting to be a cosmetologist,
Whatever it happens
whatever.
to
I,
be.
I think the number, first of all, I'm really surprised at being Dr. Obie. I thought I would just really stop at the master's, but I think what I want people to know, and they may or may not be surprised, is I never finished anything.
What do you mean?
I finished high school, but I never finished college. I would enroll in things and never finish. Just
Well,
wouldn't, if it was a 12, if it was a 15 or 16 course, whatever, I'd stop at 12. It's like I always stopped right before I got to the end. You would not know that by talking to me. It took forever for me to complete, really complete something that I really wanted. I don't know. I don't know if I'd run out of gas or whatever, but I needed the drive to cross the finish line. And so, but I never acted like I didn't have it. I just kept moving.
were you afraid?
No, I just stopped.
You just
I would
stopped.
get to a place where it was either overwhelming, that's what I was accustomed to, just stop. You don't need this. Now you'll come back to it later. And it was a habit that was causing me more pain than I wanted to admit.
Mm.
I don't even, like that as a trait. If you say you're going to do something, you need to finish it. And here I am starting and stopping, starting and stopping. So I was so grateful to be able to transform after a huge loss into a person who said, "You're going to finish this. I don't care what you do next. You're going to finish this degree because that's a problem for you. You're not accustomed to finishing things.
Mhm.
And I need for you to do that." I said, "You can live as poorly as you need." I was very poor. I didn't complain. I was no longer going to say you didn't finish this course.
Wow.
I was no longer going to be able to admit that I couldn't reach that bachelor status. Honey, I have my degree. It's on the wall now. But I was so sad and hurt because when I started looking at all of the things, and God opened up so many doors, and there I was paralyzed. I'm like, "Oh my God, I can't go forward." But God is so good. That's where the transformation began for me. I
Hmm.
I refused to do anything else until I met that one goal.
Hmm.
And I mean, I lived off of oodles of noodles and $600 a month and this, that, and the other. And I refused, and I meant it.
Hmm.
I
That
would,
intentionality, just being intentional.
yeah, I didn't care if anybody talked about me and what are you doing now. And I don't care. I'm focused,
Hmm.
focused. And so once, of course, I finally got that first degree. I felt better because I no longer felt like a person who gave up on themselves. It's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at the outside of me, well put together, but my resume is saying I quit things too soon.
Hmm. Hmm.
The transformation had to start with me.
Transformation. Let's go there for just a minute, and let me remind everybody that on Saturday, what is your time slot on Saturday for your replay, Dr. Paula?
2 p.m. Eastern
2
Standard
p.m.
Time.
2 p.m.
Mhm.
Dr. Paula did a wonderful show last night on self love, and those of you who missed it, I want to encourage you on Saturday at 2 p.m. If you didn't have an opportunity to see the show yesterday, tune in on this Saturday because it really, really was a very good program, a meaty program, and one that I think anybody who's listening would gain something from. So be sure. I wanted to be sure to mention that. But the book, your book is entitled Adria's Transformation, and your show is entitled The Power of Transformation. So I want to ask you just very, very quickly, because I know there's so many things I want to get to talk to you about
Mhm.
tonight. But when you hear that word transformation, what does that say to you? How does that speak to you?
Transformation is what actually saved my life. I
Okay.
could not have lived. I could not have made it. I could not have been mentally stable, emotionally as emotionally stable as I am. I could not have taken the next step unless there's a transformation component there.
Hmm.
Something, someone had to say, move. That was God. Someone had to say, what are you afraid of? I don't know. Try it. What do you have to lose? Okay. And that was the transformation. That was the change. I still use it as a stepping stone.
Hmm.
That's what it means. It means not being stuck anymore.
Okay. Not being stuck anymore.
Not
Okay.
being stuck anymore. It means, and that means so much to me. More, I'm. My mind is remembering all the times when I'm like, no, and that was a good. God had opened the door, and I'm like, not doing it. The
Hmm.
transformed person says, renew your mind, Paula.
Get
Renew.
out of your head.
Get out of your head.
Yeah.
So what? You're gonna look crazy. You'll be okay. You live. But what if you fly? And I think someone said that to me. It was a little poster that says, "Well, what if I fail?" And then the second sentence was, "Well, what if you fly?" So the transformation gets you to the what if you fly. Yeah, you may look crazy sometime. It may not work. Okay, then transform again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just keep. So now the process of transformation, renewing my mind, really is my mantra. That's why
Hmm.
I'm here. That's how I got here.
You say there's something that you say too in keeping with your show and the book and everything, and that is you have to trust the process in order for the power of transformation to take place in your life. Talk about that for just a little bit. That the importance of that process in terms
Yes,
of that whole transformation journey.
that's really a great, just a great conversation. When I step back into my past, the little girl lost her trust. I didn't trust anyone. Mom left, I didn't trust a soul. So over time, I had to realize that trust meant it was a little scary. But once I learned to trust different people, watch different outcomes, I listened to how they got there. I still do that now. Someone will say, and they've achieved a goal, or they want to do something, and I'll ask, well, how did you get there? What's your process? If I want to bake a cake, I'm going to follow the process,
Got
especially if I want it to turn out good. So, what I learned is that there is something to getting from point A to point B. I have to follow the steps. And that's what I mean by trusting it.
mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. Trusting God that He's going to do everything He said He's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You, Paula, your job is to trust Him and just do it.
Yes, yes. Follow the path.
Follow the path. And even though sometimes, Dr. Hines, I'm going to tell you some things don't make sense, I will agree. They're against, just some of the things that I've done, like sitting here talking to you. However, I trusted the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Had I not taken away the fear, I would have not listened to Victoria. I want other people to understand. When that person is talking to you and that little anxiety bubbles up, you need to say, wait, whoa, renew your mind. You never know what's on the other side.
Right, right.
You don't shortchange yourself because of fear. Get that David and Goliath spirit where he looked up at Goliath and said, you uncircumcised Philistine. You're a nobody. I'm
Ooh.
going to trust what God gave me. I don't even need Saul's equipment. I don't even need his armor. I'm going to trust what I have, and that just encourages me every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I want to ask you too. because all of us have, or I will say, few of us have taken a direct path. As we say all the time, life be lifing. You
Mhm.
start over here, and something will happen and just totally change the trajectory of what you thought you were going to do or how you thought it was going to get done. And there's not necessarily an answer. Maybe you may have a particular thing, but I always think about what is the most what has been the most challenging part of your journey? And you can take it from the ministerial perspective, or you can take it from your life growing up, family. But what do you think has been the most challenging part of your journey?
I believe that the most challenging part of my journey is just believing that the opportunity God would open up the door for me.
Hmm.
I am really good about saying maybe that door belongs to someone else.
Oh
Why
my.
would He open that door for me? And I don't know. I don't know if that stems from when I was growing up or whatever. But I never believed that the door was for me, when in actuality it was.
Mm,
I
God.
just needed, and I love today the coaches that we have,
Mm,
because I was telling someone the other day, if I'd had a coach, I'd have called them and said, I don't like this nursing thing. I don't, and someone would have helped me by renewing my mind, helped me change my way of thinking. I needed a different verbiage.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Absolutely.
And when I agreed that I needed a new way of thinking, that I did not believe in the old way of thinking anymore, I had to find paths, people, families, and I had to ask a lot of questions and involve myself in their lives and say, really, you actually did this? Really, just you?
Hmm.
And then I became a believer. And I hope that answered your question, but that's how it's done
Hmm.
for me. And so that means a daily life of learning. I believe that everybody, and I'm thinking of so many people who had to stand in the gap for me and grab me by the hand and say, come on here,
Get it together.
get it together.
Pull this
I
place
mean,
together.
let's do this. Well, what are you afraid of? And it's getting rid of the fear. And I don't know if that's because of losing my mom. I don't know. I just know that I had to get over the fear. Get over the fear.
And you said something else that I was getting ready to ask you. You were talking about lessons and things. What do you think is the most impactful lesson that you have learned, and how'd you learn it? Who taught it to you? What circumstance brought you to that point?
That is such an amazing question. And all I can think of is when my grandmother, my grandmother and I, we were very close, but we got to a point where we didn't agree on anything anymore. And she said to me, she said, you need to go and live your life. There were other things going on in our world at the time. And she says, go live your life. And so I did. I borrowed a car. Listen to me. Borrowed a car. Didn't have any, tags, current tags. And I moved and I slept on the couch and I listened to everything someone said who had said they achieved something. I'm like, I just immersed myself. And when it was time to move, I moved.
Mhm.
And I don't know any other, that was a formula. It took sometimes longer than I wanted. I just watched them. And I love the fact that if you say you're a pear tree, don't you give me apples. I'm looking for pears. So if you say, well, come over here, we make the best, pear tree in the world. We're just the best. And then you give me apples, and I'm like, you're not telling me the truth. I need to go find someone who's telling me the truth. Once I started standing up in that, definitely my grandmother did me a favor. I started looking for people to emulate
Mhm.
whose lives were rich.
Whose lives were rich. And now I think that's the key to that phrase, whose lives were rich.
Yeah.
Because one of the worst things that we can do is have the wrong people in our circle and the wrong people in our ear.
Yeah, yeah. There's a family in Garner, and I didn't get permission to use their name, so I'm not going to. I know they know who they are. When I connected to them, the mothers who is now deceased said, "You're going to really like our family. You're going to learn a lot. I look like them." I said, "I look like them." And what I learned from them was amazing. I feel like I just sat at their feet. And I thought, my God, we can do this? Really? This is really a family? This is how families work? Oh my goodness. I became a student. I learned so much. And those were my stepping stones. Every scenario was like a stepping stone. I will always remember them. I always talk about them. I won't tell you who they are. Hopefully, they will tune in and hear it. I am here because of them. And even my family says, when you connected with that family, your life changed. I admit that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I even got to drive a boat. Like, we didn't do it in my world. I got to drive a boat. Now, I wasn't good at the skiing part, but I drove the boat instead. I broadened my horizons. I love them. Love
I'm thinking about what you're saying though. When you are committed to lifelong learning,
Yeah.
you see the lessons in a different way. I think.
Mhm.
I
Yes.
think sometimes uh, the lessons seem to be hard. Sometimes the process seems to be insurmountable. But when you are at a place where you're saying to yourself, you know what, I am going to live my life to the fullest. That says I'm going to embrace some things
Yes.
that I may not have before. That means that I'm going to listen on a level that I didn't listen before. That means I'm going to
Yes.
act and react in a
Yes.
way that I didn't act and react before. But one of the things that you have said throughout this conversation, and these may not be the words that you used, but it's going to be all right.
It's gonna be all right.
It's going to be all right.
I had to learn that.
Whatever it is,
Yeah,
whatever
it's gonna be.
it's going to be all right.
Somebody said, "Well, what's the worst that could happen?" And I thought, I could look stupid. Okay. What's the worst that could happen? You may not reach the goal the first time. Okay.
Mhm.
Once you get past those mindsets, and you have to have really good people around you.
Mhm.
Your role models have to be there. Even, and I'm not talking necessarily about people who, are billionaires, millionaires. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people with strong values,
Values, yes.
and they share those values with you, or they just let you hang out. Most of the time, I was just listening. I had very little in common, but I enjoyed what they had, and I thought that's the
Mhm.
key right there.
Mhm.
They have the magic touch. I'm proud of them.
There's something, and I don't know why. I don't remember it being this prominent in other years. Usually, you go to church and it's the stay alive in 2025, and there's always something that you're gonna hang on to throughout the year. Everybody's talked about vision boards, and they do vision boards every year, and people get together but this year more than any other time. And I don't know whether it's because of the impact of 2025,
Mhm.
because it was a tough year for a lot of us.
It
Uh,
was.
but everybody is saying, what's your word? What's your word for 2026? And you had a word for 2026. You remember what it was?
I don't. I
It was
don't. You can
vision.
tell me.
Your word was vision.
Vision.
2026. And
Mhm.
I had been thinking about that because when you talk about vision, and when you talk about, or when you said the word, what I thought about was the importance of seeing what God sees, not putting things into my own framework, but understanding that the vision that I want to live by, walk through, be a part of, is what he sees for me. I want to see what he sees for me,
Yes.
as part of my vision. What were
Mhm.
you thinking when you said vision?
Well, it's really amazing. Now I remember our conversation. We've had such great conversations. The Bible says that without a vision, the people perish.
Hmm.
So what I was thinking is I always have to have God, my relationship with God, so that He can tell me what He wants me to do, and then I have to have the courage to do it.
Hmm.
So if
Hmm.
He tells me to do something in that vision that scares me, then I need a lot of faith.
Yeah.
So we started this year off with a lot of prayer. He's going to say something to me or ask me to do something that's going to check me emotionally, mentally, spiritually, is going to allow me to step out there in what I call the invisible step. I can't see it. Oh my God, what's next? That's where, and I wanted my relationship to grow with him to where I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm stepping on this invisible step because you're there and you told me to do it and I trust you.
Hmm.
And because I've said that and I've had to say it every day, things have been happening, really happening.
Hmm.
And I feel a little bit of the fear every now and then. I'm very honest, and I'm like, I'm feeling the fear, God. I'm feeling the fear, but I'm doing it anyway because I want to make you happy, and that's a different Paula than
Yeah.
previously.
I think that's a different place for all of us, to
Hmm.
be at the point of being able to say, you know what, I I want to do it because I want to make God smile.
Yeah,
I want Him to be pleased with me,
yeah,
whether I have it, whether I don't have it, whether I'm looking for it, whether I'm struggling with it, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day,
end of the
I
day,
want that well done, good and faithful servant. I want to be
absolutely.
able, to be with Him, stand before Him, and know that He's pleased. That He's
Yes, and I
pleased.
and I also want other people to also know God because of me. I
Yes.
want them to see Him because I used to have a vision of God that was not who I have now.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of people there say different things, and I'm like, no, you really need to get to know him
Mhm. Mhm.
personally. Take your time. You'll find that he does know everything about you and that he knows how to help you. I am a witness. So I want to live my life so that they look at me and go, well, if she can do it, why can't I?
Yeah. Yeah. Now let me ask you this. First of all, thank you. Let me thank you first of all, for being here tonight and for being with me, and just kind of chatting. Because whenever we do that, there are things that pop up that we may not have thought about before. There are things that we recognize that we may have put on a back burner or kind of set aside, and you spark something in us, uh,
Right.
that helps us, to grow and to move forward, to not be stuck and be encouraged, and all those other great and wonderful things that happen.
Yes.
But I do want to ask you tonight. Um, if there is anything in particular, because like I said, you and I start talking and we get together and we cover all kinds of topics and things.
Every time.
Yeah, but is there anything in particular that you want our listeners to always remember? There's something that when they think of Dr. Paula Obie, they're going to think maybe it's the process piece, or maybe it's the getting past the fear piece, or maybe it's the learning piece. What is it that you would like to leave with everybody, so that this is your legacy nugget?
Wow. The legacy nugget. You know what? This is really great. I love this. You need to believe that the door is for you.
Oh, I
That
love.
open door is for you. I was thinking about, I've had a lot of visibility this week and I've got to do some other things. And I'm like, yes, and that's your assignment. Don't, 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 don't sit down. You have things to do because the old Paula would be like, oh, I don't want to do that. The new Paula said, if God opened the door, it's time for me to walk through it.
Yes,
I want to leave that nugget. Don't ever think that it's not for you if God told you it is for you.
I love it.
Don't do it. Don't deny him the opportunity to blow your mind. Just don't do it.
Wow. Don't deny him the
Opportunity
opportunity to
to
blow
blow your mind.
mind.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
don't
Oh
do
my
it.
goodness. Now I have a tag behind that. And that is, and we say it every week that we come on, sometimes you gotta turn down the volume of life and be ready to receive.
Yes.
So that when life speaks, you'll speak life. And that is that peace. That is that peace that when whew,
Yes.
you are, and it goes along with the self-love and what you were talking about yesterday. Everything that anybody says to you will never be as important as what you say to yourself,
To yourself.
out
Yes.
yourself.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
the most important conversation. And I always say that's the most influential conversation I'll ever have,
That's
is
right.
what I have with myself. And
Yes.
that is the one that is following what God said, what
Ooh.
He said. Woo! Okay, okay.
Okay. We could go. We could go. We could go there. We could go a few more minutes to talk about who he says we are. Yes, we could. But that illuminates you and it gives you courage and it opens up the door for you to listen to him.
Yes.
We all need courage sometimes because you know what it's like. I'm going to say this because I feel like I need to, and I know we need to leave. When you start kind of moving in God's plan, you will have people who will say things to you that you won't like. They might look at you crazy. Okay, just be ready, but don't stop. God is the one you're trying to please.
Yep.
I'm sick of pleasing people.
Woo.
I need to please God. I'm sick of pleasing people.
Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm.
I got the PhD in pleasing people now. I'm trying to. And as you please God, and when it pleases God, you'll see things you've ever never thought you'd see. He's just right there ready. I'm a witness.
Dr. Paula,
Yes.
we're going to stop here
Okay.
because if we don't,
We'll come back. We'll have a part two.
look, I thank you so, so much for being with me tonight and for sharing some great things. Transparent moments are great, but lessons learned are great. But the wonderful thing is when you can grab hold and do something with them.
Absolutely.
Use them in a way that will, uh, keep you moving forward, keep you inspired, keep you encouraged. And you have certainly done that with us and for us tonight. So I thank you. I thank you. And this won't be the last time, everybody who has joined in tonight. You have the opportunity to be with Dr. Paula and listen to her on the power of transformation, which she does on Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. right here on ALH Broadcasting. And I'm so happy that she took the time to come back another day during the week and be with us and share. And I tell you what, God does some amazing things, and I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm excited
Me
for the
too.
rest of the journey. Not just the next in the journey,
But
but the
the
rest
rest.
in the journey. So
Yes.
again, thank you everybody for joining tonight, for being with us tonight. We're going to continue. Let me introduce you to. We have a couple of more people that I think you need to get to know, and we're going to do that for the rest of this month and see. God's got something for you. Just
Absolutely.
like Paula said, don't think that the door isn't open for you.
That's right.
You got an invitation. Take advantage of it. Do what the Lord said do, and everything is going to be
Everything.
all right. To God be all the glory. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we'll be back next week. And again, turn down the volume of life and be ready
Yes.
to receive so that when life speaks, you speak life. Thank you, Dr. Paula,
You
and
are
thank
most
you
welcome.
everybody for joining in tonight.
Take
That's
care.
it.